talking about how I can feel everybody in the room, but I know for sure pretty much every client I ever work with says that to me.
That they feel, which part? What do they say?
Oh my God, I just got a whiff of your pleather. Stinky
girl.
That I walked, that when they walk into rooms, like it's what makes them great at business.
Yeah.
Is that they can walk into a room and read the room, but then they're also like, wait, what am I reading? Because I'm getting all of these inputs and I don't know how to reconcile the inputs or focus that energy. So then that's why like I either have to escape it or I have to dominate it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still real? Still real. Still real. And some people call themselves empaths. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm like, I don't want to identify like as an empath or anything because what
someone might have a connotation for. This is so soft.
It was a little. So it's what you said. It was like, okay, you're learning this from an evangelical perspective, which today might push somebody out. It doesn't make it wrong what you were learning. Right? And we want to make everything, I have wanted to make things wrong, but there's actually more commonality in that, whatever that is that we're feeling into. I mean, here's the thing. Artists have done it. This is why I always say to people, branding is the cover. Like, I do branding for sure. If you want to ask me a consultative question about a next move, I'm going to answer it probably better than most because of my experience, and I'm well studied and I'm well practiced. So I'm not saying no to that, but I'm also like, that's not what you come to me for, right? You come to me for the site. You come to me because what I see happens instantly and you don't have to go spend 5 years trying to search for it. And so what am I going to do? Start being like, I'm the psychic brander? No, because that's like terrible branding.
I'm going to dub the UFO, the X-Files, like Ushi, Inc.
100%. And I don't work with people like that. I mean, could you imagine some of the people I work with hearing that? They'd be like, okay, Ushi, like...
They'd be like, Ushi, ew.
Yeah, like, it's not like that. It's actually very businessy when we work. Yeah. Like, girl can make a spreadsheet. Girl can, put together revenue projections. But you better believe when I look at that revenue projection, I'm feeling what's happening. I'm not orchestrating it. Maybe there's feeling in the orchestration, but like, it's sound business from the outside looking in, but it's all based on instinct, and maybe it's based on both. It's skill and instinct coming together, feeling and sight coming together.
So I want to soapbox on a principle of how I navigate business, and then I want to bounce the ball to you and hear, how do you maneuver this? Yeah. So I just did this audit about my personality from 35 people that have known me over the span of 20 years and said, what am I like? What am I known for? What's the Shelby secret sauce? And I had a lot of people describe me as like, you can be quite ferocious. And one of my favorite depictions was like, you have a fierce energy about you where it's like, you know how to wield your strength. And if needed, you can like come right up to the throat and literally have someone's throat in your mouth. Like you could just do one bite, they're gone. But like you don't abuse your power. Like you don't come in and just like, you're not frivolous or reckless, and you're actually quite fierce ultimately, like a mother lion would do to like a baby, to be like, yo, like freaking quit it, yo, and then be like, okay, are we good? So I didn't realize that people were feeling that edge of my personality. I've been told the whole like, you're quite intimidating. I've had people say language like that to me, and when it comes to running my business, I think that I'm quite silly. I'm quite playful. I'm very goofy. And there's, I like this lightheartedness. And I speak in these real stupid voices. It's like a 9-year-old running a company. But that playfulness exists in a paradox with that intensity, where it's like, yeah, we can be silly and goofy, and I love operating with like, yo, here's our hard deadline. I don't care what your process is, unless if I got to get into your post-production editing, please leave me a breadcrumb trail of what you did. That's like probably the only stipulation for our field. But in terms of like my colorists, I'm like, hey, I need this within 2 weeks. I don't care if you do it all in one day. I need these touchstones, these timelines to be honored. That's a hard note. I don't care how you get there. Because for me, my process might look like, wallowing in self-pity for like 16 hours. And then I'm going to come out of something and create the most brilliant charcoal piece of art. But like, how do you bill for that, And at the same time,
I want you to put that on the invoice. 16 hours of
wallowing in self-pity. Yes, 16 hours.
Yeah.
Premium rate.
Yeah.
But it's like, I really value leading with a ton of freedom for all of my operators. Yeah. And I'm goofy and I'm silly because it's like I'm offering inherent trust. But to get to that point, I'm a pretty ruthless savage to get into that inner sanctum, because it's like, oh my gosh, you're so playful. But then people meet me out the gate and they're like, I thought you were like this person. I thought you were like, holy cow, I can't even like look her in the eyes. But there's the fierceness to protect the playfulness. And then I give people the same reciprocity of, I'm like, yo, we can talk smack creatively. We can, just be real playful about, like, I'm dead inside after that shoot. Holy cow. Or like, ugh, why did they do this thing during the shoot? Like, we'll be playful, but it's like when we walk out of that inner sanctum, you better believe that we're in formal wear, executive wear. We look excellent. We do our trade in such an excellence. Like, I'm talking shotgun status. Yeah. Like, I got my people around. And, how do we, it's such a dichotomy that most people don't grasp, where I'm like, I'm not militant. I'm such an advocate of the artistic process, but they both happen at the same time, because that's how I operate. And if I'm hiring artists, I don't care if you're loosey-goosey, but like when we have deadlines, there's zero room for error. So I often put my deadlines a week before the real deadline, just for advocating for my...
That's what the world thinks of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hate your idea. Yeah.
But what's your experience of working with people that have a sense of artistry to what they do? Where's the balance of, we're pushing things in a linear way, we're bringing projects to life, we're bringing campaigns to life, you're doing like severe, 5 tiers deep of like processing and implementation. How do you let your artists be artists?
I don't. I mean, that's the gist of it. Was when I was in my 20s, I was really like, oh, are they happy? Mm-hmm. And it cost me a ton of money, making every artist feel good about... I mean, I remember I even owned a gallery, and I remember this. It was, I'm paying for the space, I'm curating the event, I'm setting it up, and I sat there for 6 hours inching things to the right place in the gallery. And it was my art. It's my art. And I was like, okay, well, then you pay for your art, right? You fund your art, not me. And then I would get the feedback, she's harsh, right? And so for a long time, I believed that about myself. I'm harsh. I should tone it down. This is what we do, right? We hear somebody else's version of us, and then if we don't have the strength to know it's of value, then we diminish. Okay. So I did it for like 20 years.
Wow.
And then I did my own process on me, which is this audit that you were talking about, the book of me. And I started to look, I get it. I got the process basically because on the front end of any design, you need to pull together the elements that you have. You need to see what you've got to work with, right? So I started to pull these things together and I was like, hang on, this is how I get results, right? I get results over and over again. I'm going to own that. All right, how am I getting those results? Oh, it's my briefing process. Okay, what's going on in my briefing process? It's decidedly different from any major ad agency out there. People will be like, this girl, she's trying to feel things too much. We got to get going. There was no space to breathe. And so, okay, but again, I got results for the people I work with. So then I went through this period where like my clients were doing that, where I was like, wait, hang on, you came here to be in my ceremony, my process, my method, and I'm letting you willy-nilly doing whatever you want, however you want, calling it customer service. And then I said, no, these people, the ones that really benefit from what I do, they can handle the fierce, they can handle the stark truth, they can be like, in this moment I hate Ushi, but the next day call me and say, that's exactly why I have you in my world. And so then I just started taking a stand for myself. And I was like, you don't get to live in my world, which is, by the way, awesome. Like it's fun to work with me. It's joyful. Yeah, there's hairy moments. And there are moments where I'm going to have to say like, hey, Monday is Monday. And so guess what? You are working over the weekend. And also, if you do that, I'm not going to talk to you for a week and you can have a week off after that, right? So I do both, and I know I do both. And then that's where my sense of ease around it comes from. But for a long time, I placated. And let me just tell you that, like, you have no, from a business side, you have no margins if you placate to others. You are the one staying up late when it's their job to be doing the thing. And artistry actually loves structure. Right? So that myth that these artists are like, no, like the most brilliant artists of the world that have left the greatest works had schedules. They had carved out time. They had patrons that required results, So I feel like living in the blend has been beneficial, but it was definitely not my default setting out of the gate. And it's something I've had to learn in the maturity of my business. But like, make no mistake, like, an artist actually has a lot of structure and business sense and ability to manage energy and understand that this person needs this. And anybody, like my brother and I always have this like funny, he's always like, artists don't make money. Well, guess what? He has like a daughter who's like an incredible artist. So I'm like, what are you going to tell her? And he's like, okay, well, after Russian School of Math. And I'm like, okay, but the mathematician's an artist. The coder is an artist. Artist isn't like a trade. It is an approach. And that's why artists like to work with me. That's why they come to me. And then the ones that don't, they don't. That's okay. Go do your thing. And that's okay too. And when I was realizing like that's okay too, another one will come. When I didn't feel like it was like, this is the only one I need in my world, that's when that freedom was there. And what's so amazing about that stance is that they do come. Like I didn't seek you. Wait a second. You know what's so interesting? I'm realizing I did seek you out. I found you because of SEO. And I'm realizing there's another artist in my world that I'm like obsessed with. And I found her because of SEO. So there was a search. But I think that the alignment of who I was meant that when you came, I knew the right questions to ask. I knew the temperament. And it's one of the things I love about you is like when executive producer comes out, she comes out, and that's good. I don't see it, I don't see it as a negative quality at all. I see it as like the required quality. So we need to be working with people like that. Required quality is some fierce and some playfulness, right?
Well, because then we're creating the ability for artists to be free in their art.
Yeah.
Whether they are the next mogul of understanding a world shift, that's their artistry, or, just whatever the legacy content is ultimately, that we're creating structure in our art and being excellent at it so that they get to be safe, to let the guard down and know that we're covering them if something's not landing right or their shirt's not falling right. That we're going to make them look good and that it's going to sound good and it's going to be experienced well.
Yeah. Well, also the thing is like, if you think, I love the word play and fierce. Okay. So, I mean, the iconography of that too, of like a goddess, she's both like playful and fierce, at least in Indian iconography, that you do get the goddess depiction of both. And she's lovable because she's both, and she's powerful because she's both. And the archetype of like the trickster and that, yeah. So I think that, make no mistake, our schedules have both, right? Because if you're too fierce, then you don't let the come forth, right? But if you're always sitting there letting the emergent reveal itself, you have nothing concrete.
Yeah.
So I think that that's, first of all, I think that's when you were saying secret sauce, like that is the secret sauce of our process, our method, and the way I work with people is that you're going to get both. But don't bring your emergent time in when I'm trying to get a deadline done. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, now's the time to do this, right? Then there's this other thing, which is like, I call her, she's a her, she might, I don't know what she is, but this, the muse, that no matter how well you have the play balanced and the fierce balanced, breaks all that shit up. Everything breaks up and shatters and fragments right before you're about to hit the deadline.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
for me is, that's like somebody's energy goes off, or somebody gets mad, or something happens in their family, or the technology's on the fritz, like all these things where you're like, I am like the best planner on the planet, and how is this happening? But that's so, me as a designer, again, 3 decades of doing this. When I was young, I would let it break me. When I was sort of maturing in it, I would try to like control it. And now I'm like, oh, cool, we're breaking up. Let the breakup happen. And then it's just like it's just a thing that needs to happen to come back in. The mistake that people make is that breakup is indicating something's wrong with the process or something's wrong with me.
Ooh.
That's why you stay with it. It's not indicating that the creative process is awry. It's actually going well if that shatter happens, because it means you're in it, right?
Stephen Pressfield echoes that as well, where it's like that last 5% of the race, your phone is going to break, your boyfriend's going to break up with you, you're going to, and it's just like, it's like I visualize the rocket ship going up and the things that are falling to the wayside. Yeah. It's like the way that it's just, if things are going to heck in a handbasket, it's a good sign.
Good sign, yeah.
Like, we're right. It's like that one cat meme where he's like got the tears in his eyes. He's like, it's like we're right where we need to be, right? Like it doesn't feel good, but looking back, it's always like,
Are you the person that is the reason why cat memes are so popular? I feel like you are. Okay.
100%.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, if you get an email from Shelby, she's got, her title is cat herder. And I know this is like an era for you, but then there's like this cat rocking out with her headphones. And I was like, okay, she's different. Like, I'm going to definitely call her and talk to her.
This is a strange one. Wasn't expecting this.
Yeah. I think that this thing that we're talking about is true for business. I think it's true for artistic and creative processes. I also think it's true for humanity. I think this is exactly when I see people, there's anxiety that's diagnosed anxiety, and I understand that that's a different beast. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way that we all flippantly say we're anxious. That I think that's what's happening, right? Is that either we have two choices. I get to be in this container of like timelines and KPIs, like key performance indicators, and hit my quotas. And I'm going to succeed because I'm in this very structured thing. And I'm going to call myself a person that thrives on structure. Or you have a person who's like the free for all, and I'm a creative, so I want this. And like neither actually work to get work done, because here you're completely suffocating the creativity, right? And you don't have access to any possibility except for the known quantity. So how do you know that known quantity is for you? And then here you have no structure. It's like your banks are overflowing. And so the perfection of what you are actually doesn't get felt, because it's like overflowing, right? It cannot be received. So, or it breaks down, what's there. It breaks down any structure that's there. So I think that we want the intersection. I think a lot of people, like, again, you take these personality tests and you're like, oh, I'm this person and I'm that person. I'm like, actually, I think you want to blend. I think that personality test is also putting us in these silos. Like, now I'm this, so I'm going to be this in the world. But okay, like, it's good to know, maybe for a sales call or whatever, who's across from you. But what about like a world where both get to be together? What about school systems that do that? What about, right? Like, what about whatever, your family household being like that? Because for every day I have a schedule for those kids, the second you have this beautiful schedule, it doesn't happen, right? Somebody stubs their toe and it's the end of the world. And it's like, okay, schedule just changed. How do you adapt? And, throwing our kids and throwing myself in a rigid thing has never worked, but then letting myself frolic on the beach doesn't work. One thing that you had said, there's a cliche about the way that you make it work in your business is by finding the common ground, right? The common vision. So the reason why there are people who can be playful and fierce in my universe right now is because we care about the work and the purpose and the outcome more than we care about ourselves and being right. And it's that, like, you don't need to be right. You don't need to be right. You need to love the work more than you love your rightness. And when you love the work, then whoever comes around you, if they love the work like as much as you do, all of that falls away. And you and I, we love our work. We don't love every aspect of the work, but we love the outcome. We love it when one of our clients tells a story and somebody who barely knows them feels it in their core. That comes first. So if you decide to be grumpy one day, I could be like, whatever, she's grumpy, right? And what's funny about that is, like, you probably are grumpy and I don't even notice it's grumpy, because now we care more about this baby that we're having together.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would say, yeah, it's about the baby. It's not about being right.
1, 2, 3, 4. Still real?
Still real.
Still real.
On this show, we dive headfirst into the untamed, often hilarious, and always honest realities of life as ambitious women. You know, the kind of stuff that delights your inner child and gives her permission to play. We know you're multi-hyphenated, ultra-successful in your own right, and you crave real connection. So, consider this your intimate invitation to the most intriguing tea party of your week, where vulnerability is our superpower, quirks are celebrated, and the truth is always poured piping hot. Your seat is always waiting for you at our table. And be sure to visit our website, stillreal.studio, to join our next event.